Okay, and we should be live now. Let's double check this. I hope everything is working. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, looks like I'm live. That's good to know. Let's also notify people on Blue Sky. And then let's start the stream for today. So welcome first to everyone who is joining the stream today. Happy to have you here. And today we will do some really nice things because we in the last stream it is quite a few days ago, but in the last stream we did start working on a little chat UI with Solid.js in our Tauri application. So I explained a little bit that the backend will be written in Rust, but the local first backend. And the application is built with Tauri, so Rust is a very obvious choice there. That gives us a lot of benefits. And we also said that we want to use Solid.js because of its fine-grained reactivity for building the user interface within the web view that Tauri creates. So this is actually the plan still. Nothing changed from that, but today we want to actually go deeper into that. And we want to continue working on that. So what happened in between, sorry for that. What happened in between, let me quickly show you where we are. So here is my editor. So what happened in between is that I extended a little bit this app component that we had last time already. I now fetch here these chat resources. And if we go into it, what you can see is that we have a second action being created here. So I moved actually this send message function over to a new file. Also the chat action here, and what we can also see is here's in the in the Rust code in the backend. This is not well structured yet. It's still dummy data being used here, but we have some static chat history. Obviously, that's not how it will work out. We will store later the chat history somewhere on the file system and persist it, of course. But right now we have some dummy data here. There's also some dummy message data being introduced here. It's basically loaded when the application starts. So when we look here into the run function that is called by the main function, then we see we initialize the chat history, and once we have initialized it, we will start our Tauri application. And we will basically bind these two handlers here. One is the send message and one is the get history. So the get history function you can see actually here. Okay, whatever happened now? Edit and save files directly. That's nice, but that's actually not what I wanted to do. Great, so that's obviously the interesting side effect of using an editor on stream for the first time. So if you haven't noticed yet, usually I'm using NeoVim directly in my terminal. So basically here, running nvim, and here we go, can open a file. And here is, in this case, the main function. So we can, let's wait until the Rust analyzer has started. Okay, so now we can actually look into this run function. So here we are. And of course, we can actually move here to the get history, get chat history function. I thought it would be a nice idea to use on stream Z, because Z has some, I'm experimenting with Z right now, so I'm very happy with NeoVim still. But there's something very interesting on that, and that's actually this little button here, which opens the assistant panel. Let's move this over a little bit, make it smaller. You can see it here on the bottom. So this is actually using Claude Sonnet 3.7 through ZAI, and we can actually use this here to write some code, or well, let's say to not write it ourselves, but let Claude Sonnet actually do the job for us. That's at least the idea. So I'm experimenting with that, trying to figure out how well this works, especially on stream, utilizing AI directly within the editor. I'm not the biggest fan of it because I prefer still NeoVim. It's it just fits so much better into my workflow. Basically because I'm using a MacBook for work and for my day job actually, and I'm doing all the open source development on my Arch Linux. And the cool thing on NeoVim is actually I have 100% the same key bindings across both. So it's the best cross-platform coding environment that I have found. And this is actually one of the biggest game changers for me, to be able to do that. And I don't get this from the Z editor yet. I think I have to do a lot of manual configuration and rebinding keys on different platforms to get there and reach the consistency I like. But I want to give it a serious try, mainly because that has other features that I want to try out maybe later on stream as well. Not today, but on another one. So let's see. But let's leave that away. This is what we will try. I also activated, by the way, the ZAI. I don't know how they call this feature actually, but basically this feature where you can just press the tab key and it will autocomplete. So the idea basically is that Z tries to predict what you want to type now, and it will give you some suggestion, and you can just press tab to accept the things. It's an interesting feature, to be honest. I tried it a few times. Sometimes it works well, sometimes not. They use some, they actually fine-tuned, when I remember correctly, they fine-tuned the Gwen open source LLM in a way that fits quite well into what they need, and use it with some in a very specific way. They actually put some documentation, I think on the blog or so. I read about it at least from the Z developers, how they actually do this feature and how they have built this. So this is actually quite nice one that I enjoyed so far. So that's why I want to give Z a try on stream. Let's see how well this works. Especially the key binding thing is still an issue for me, and significantly better on others. Here I can select a kernel, which doesn't make it easier because I have no clue what it means to select a kernel here. Okay, I can have a REPL for TypeScript. Interesting, directly in that. Nice, good to know. So you might see me using the keyword quite often today. No, not the keyword. So that's what I use always. No, you will see me also using the mouse today a couple of times because I'm just not familiar enough with the key bindings in that right now. For example, I have no clue how to open this panel, and as you can see, this assistant panel here on the bottom, and as you can see here, this assistant panel right now, it looks like it doesn't have a proper key binding here on Linux. And this is actually really one of those issues, you know. I tried it also on my work laptop, which is a MacBook Pro, and the key bindings for that are different there. And that's exactly why I use NeoVim and Zellish in my terminal, because they have the same key bindings. Yeah, you see, I'm not satisfied with the solution yet, but I'm at least experimenting and giving it a try. In the end, one of the ideas behind Cozy Coder is also to provide a solution that for developers that works outside of the editor. So you simply don't have to use an editor with AI features. You can just stick with your NeoVim or your VI or whatever you're using, Emacs, and you can just go and don't depend on any fancy AI editor integration, because I think I'm still not convinced that integrating AI into the editor is really the way to go. And that's actually why I built Cozy Coder. So let's continue on doing that. So enough talk. Let's continue on the development. So what I did to get this code is actually I used the AI feature. So I asked actually Claude 3.7 Sonnet to generate me some code. I think it's still there somewhere in the history, I hope. Yeah, Solid.js Tauri AI chat interface. So I did a little bit of interaction with Claude 3.7 Sonnet to ask it for some code. And I basically applied actually the code that Sonnet or that Claude was actually generating here. So you see here this get chat history, get initial data thing. I modified it in between because the result was not very satisfying, to be honest, because one of the things that didn't work was actually the initial history. So let's have a quick look. So this, of course, is our fancy app. And this is actually the test data that you saw basically generated in the Rust code. So what happens here is we start the application, we draw the initial application. Of course, it doesn't scroll down to the bottom yet, but at least, and it doesn't show this always, only when this input field here, only when we scroll down. So you see there's still a lot of styling to be done. It doesn't look very nice right now. We will do all of that later, but not now. We want to get the functionality first. So what we have right now is we open up the Cozy Coder application. It loads the front end. The front end will request some data. Would actually request the history. It will call the fetch history or get chat history command. We'll get a list of messages from the Tauri application, from the Rust backend, currently mock data, but theoretically this will be serious data from your chat history, probably with way more text in it, because assistants tend to answer with more words than just the capital of France is Paris, I hope. Yeah, that's basically what it does. Loading this, showing this, and we are done. So let's stop this here at the moment. What we can further see, so let's go through the code here. As mentioned, the actions have been moved here because, well, we don't need them in the UI. We want to refactor the UI anyway, to have to introduce components, to have a more or a nicer look. But from the application, it looks like this. We have still one component. We create a signal, which is an input value. And we have another signal here created, which is called is loading. Interesting fun part here is that already on the last stream, we worked with resources in Solid.js, which provide us, and Solid.js also provides some nice components for showing and loading and default values to interact with such a resource. We did this already on the last time, and then actually Claude generated a lot of code that is doing is loading and set is loading and input value and all the stuff, and completely ignores that Solid.js can do that. I don't know if this is related to the fact that Solid.js is not as popular as React.js and it gets confused, or whatever the reason might be here. But I think there is, it could be better at doing this. Maybe I need to improve the prompts in the future. But for this initial setup, it looks like I'll have to do way more because of my choice of Solid.js. Okay, let's continue. We have created a resource here. This resource is calling the fetch chat history action that is then fetching this from the backend. The history itself is here. Well, the resource works in Solid that we have actually this, it is similar to a signal or a state, except that it will actually call this fetch history action here. We can also go to it. It just invokes a command, which is basically a Rust function, and it will automatically map the message struct that is basically returned by the command to TypeScript message type, which is defined here above, having the role user assistant and some content. So nothing very, very fancy right now, just very simple dummy data. Now comes the really interesting thing. What we do is we use a mutate here. So the create resource function returns an array of elements, and the second element can have a key mutate. This mutate is a very interesting concept. What is it doing? The mutate, we see it here on the bottom where I used it already. The mutate is basically a function. And so in the onClick handler of the button that we defined here, we can actually call mutate, this mutate function returned by the resource, and it will get a function that accepts the messages, which is a list of messages, or in TypeScript it's called an array, I think. And what we do here is basically we return again an array with one additional message here. So basically what mutate does is it will extend the result automatically, which is pretty cool because then we can automatically show the new message at the bottom with the input value as a content, and we don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything to wait, you know. We don't have to wait for all the stuff being sent to the server, getting this back, and so on. The mutate will automatically do this for us. We can quickly look this up in the documentation as well. So let's read quickly through it. So in situations where immediate feedback or responsiveness is important to mutate method, the mutate method offers optimistic mutations. These mutations provide instant feedback even while background processes such as server confirmation are still in progress, as I just said. This functionality is particularly valuable in applications like task lists. For example, when users input a new task and click the Add button, the list will refresh immediately regardless of the ongoing data communication with the server. And this is exactly what we want to do as well. So we have a button, we have an on-click handler, we call the mutate within the handler, and it gets a list, it gets as an argument, it gets a function which accepts the to-dos and which returns a new array where we put in the to-dos and then put at the end a new to-do. Well, this is a very simple example. As you can see, a to-do is basically, or the to-do list is basically, a task list is actually an array of strings where each task is a string. And here you can see although it doesn't look exactly like that. And here you have actually the tasks, which is basically an array fetched from the server, and we can actually iterate here over the tasks, show each task, and when we click on the button, the mutate function is called, will extend the list of to-dos here, will extend the list of tasks automatically. And although it needs to be sent to the server and stored somewhere, which is basically what we do afterwards, we already have this being added to this list that is rendered here in the for. So this list here that is handled by this for each, this list will already been updated, adding this task at the bottom, while then in the background a call to the server will happen. I think that's roughly the idea behind that. The second thing that we have is a refetch. When real-time feedback is necessary, the refetch method can be used to reload the current query regardless of any changes. This method can be particularly useful when data is constantly evolving, such as with real-time financial applications. So this might be very interesting at a later point, because we get basically when interacting with an LLM or with an API to an LLM, you usually have these streaming responses. So the LLM will not send just a response. You will get token by token in the response through a stream, and you can already display the received tokens without waiting for the full response. That's nice somehow. And what we can do with that is theoretically get this stream of tokens in, and yeah, I don't know if we really needed to use a set interval here, but we will see how to implement this later. But basically we can, for example, do a refetch to get the updated text response actually from the backend. While we have everything being showed there. We will see how to use that and implement this in a later stream probably. We will not make use of it today. But at least this this functionality here is very useful and we want to use it. But of course, Sonnet or Claude Sonnet didn't work very well with that. So we want to continue on using this. So we have this message. I actually don't know if this already works right now. So let's start the application again. Maybe I broke something while trying this out. So we can now, exactly the hello button, I broke it already. So let's click the send and it works. So actually, as you can see, we don't do anything right now. The only thing that we do is actually we append the user message to the hello, and that's it. So that's a very nice thing that we get here without any interaction to the server. So what we would actually do next is wait. So we have mutated it, and the next thing would be that we send the message. And here we have actually, that's actually the interesting thing. You can see it here. So there's this highlighted tab accept. So I can just accept here the value that that Z is, or the result that the Z AI is providing me. So let's accept this. Of course, we don't want it like that. Let's no. Why doesn't it work like that? Of course, we need a string here. It isn't as smart as I thought. So now it works. Let's see if this works as well. So I think it was like this. So now I can ask it for something to do. So in this particular case, I want to ask it to refactor refactor by introducing Um, then we have content. Let's see if it's smart enough to do it with this view information. And I think that's exactly what we want to do. So we have now the content. The cool thing is this simplifies the code here significantly and here as well. So very good. That's exactly how we want it. Let's run the application again. Let's go down. Let's send the data. It has been added, which is very nice, but it has only been added locally, so it doesn't get refetched. And the interesting question is, how do we make this refetch thing work? So we have now sent the data, but we haven't updated the value with the response. So let's see how this works right now. We have fetched the chat history. Let's quickly look into the send message. Send message returns actually a string, which is, as we discussed this before, the string that is returned here is the assistant response. So basically we have the user message, and the send message function will return a string with the assistant message. So this means that I remember I have disabled this code. There has been some code doing this. So basically what we get here is we get assistant it's that's not correct. So we get the assistant content, which is bullshit. I don't want to call this the the content. I still don't want to do it like that. And now what I want to do is I want... That's actually an interesting question. How do they expect this to work? So they want us to update. Well, that's actually an interesting thing. Make call to send to database, but what is their expectation? What happens next? Is there expectation that we trigger the resource again, or is there expectation that we do something else? So I hope that we find something here that is something like examples. uh, example, the usual one. Simple to do template literals, whatever this means. I don't know. Doesn't matter that much. I just want to know how they use actually the mutate, if they do. So they don't. Great. Wonderful. That's exactly how I wanted to know it. There's something with an async resource. Let's see what this one gives us. So we have the create resource, we have fetch user, we create a resource. Of course, they don't use the mutate in this case. Wonderful. script is actually this DSL here with the H. I think that's what happens to your JSX if you compile it. Simple to do's. Let's see. Also, something that easy to mutate on validation. If this would be actually the one I'm looking for, right? Damn. Okay. Doesn't look like there is a good example. Let's then try the next obvious thing. Let's just get a new chat. Is there anything? New chat. I think the interface is quite confusing at this scale. I'm scaling up everything at 300% because otherwise you would probably not read the text correctly. But yeah, let's see. So let's make this panel also a little bit bigger. JS. There is the resource function. Used to create a resource that can be used to fetch data. It can return a mutate function that can be used to update the resource. So it should be in the right mode. To update the resource and the content to the API. Can you explain the idea to update the resource the assistance response, the assistance message is. Let's see what the assistant is telling us. So, Claude Sonnet, what do you think? Updating a resource with an assistance message in Solid.js. In Solid.js, when working with create resource, there is an idiomatic way to handle both user and assistant messages in a chat-like interface. Blah, blah. The idiomatic approach, after receiving the assistance response, you should call mutate again to add the assistance message to the resource. The complete idiomatic pattern would look like this. I am not convinced that this is how they think it should work, but maybe it is. Well, it's definitely not because we don't want to add the message twice. But in this particular case, it would actually. Yeah, well, it's actually nice because it's, well, that's actually a nice idea because we actually want to mutate it. Oh, hi, Alex. Nice to have you here. Which IDE is on the left? Yeah, the IDE is called Z. It's not an IDE, it's an editor. Um, and I want to give it a try on stream, but I already um, yeah, I'm already very disappointed about the fact that all the key bindings don't work like I'm used to it. Um, and I'm also not very happy about all the paints that are showing up and so on my scaled monitor here. So on stream, everything is scaled in a way that viewers can actually see it correctly. And for me, it's not necessarily the best experience then. But I try it. So the good thing actually on Z is that you have this AI support. So I use here Z AI. Exactly, the Vim users. And I use here Claude Sonnet through that AI to actually get some information. So what I did, so the problem I had was actually to understand the mutate here. So I have the content. So when the button is clicked, I have the content actually from the input value, and I now call the mutate. This is basically also part of the resource that Solid.js created. And then I send the message, the content actually to the backend, and I get back the assistant message. And I was wondering how to now correctly update the resource now that I have sent this. And I was struggling a little bit with it, but then actually I didn't understand it immediately, but actually the solution that Claude was offering is much better than I thought. Um, what it's suggesting is that I just call the mutate message again, mutate again. I thought, no, that doesn't make sense because I want to modify actually the content I added, but that's not true. You know, what I really want to do is in the first step, I add actually the user's message, and then I get the assistant's message as a response back. And of course, I want to add the assistant's message as well. Just flag it as assistant, of course. So this solution is exactly the thing that I was looking for, although it didn't look like that immediately. The cool thing, by the way, is in Z, one of the good things is that I can add, or that I get all the emotions here in the assistant panel as well, which is nice, to be honest. I will keep this in mind for Cozy Coder. I think Cozy Coder, it's a must-have for Cozy Coder to have the emotions for doing things. Yeah, exactly, making it conversational. So, here we go. So we have the assistant message and we write the assistant message here. Um, so why is it complaining about the await? Pause. So the wait. Let's see how smart it is. Do something now. I think the solution is actually that we just make this async. And here we go. Um, so let's start the application once again. And here we are. So this is again our dummy data. So let's call it, no, let's write my name here. Let's send it. And we get an assistance response. Woo, nice, exactly what we wanted. So we get the user message added first, then we call the backend, something happens, and we get an assistant response that will actually be shown afterwards. So that's exactly the kind of functionality we wanted, isn't it? Very, very nice. I'm very much satisfied with this way of doing things here um, in Solid.js. So the next thing is to get everything working as before again. So let's have a quick look into the Git history. So there's a lot of changes that happened since the last time. And especially last time we had this signal here. And we showed this signal with this nice show and switch and match and so on stuff that is provided. These are components provided by Tauri that were very, very handy. And I would like to get this basically back. So what we had is we had this show when assistant message is loading. I think we can have this as well in our chat container. So what we can do in the chat container is we have the for each. We can use the same behavior here with show around the for each. And then we can show the loading thing when it is obviously loading, and we can show the error thing when there is an assistant message error. Well, we will replace assistant message here with the resource that we created, because this works actually on the resource. And we have a resource, which is a history. So basically, we will do pretty much the same as we do here, except that we will, oh no, how can I actually copy it? Of course, it doesn't work like this. What is, no, come on. But I think I also committed it to GitHub. So let's go to the draft pull request. Let's have a look into the files changed. And here should be some things that look like we wanted. Yeah, here it is. So we have this resource, and we can then use these nice features on the resource, and we will do pretty much the same again. So let's do that. So we have the show, we have the switch, we have the match, match, switch. Dun, 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 dun. Let's do the for. Let's take it out. We want to put it here. And then we want to use this history instead of that. Exactly. Um, as I said before already, Alex, also for you, um, there is this nice feature in that now, which they added in one of the last updates, which is basically that they will provide you an AI generated code completion in line here. In this particular case here, the history, and they tell you that you can just use a tab key to complete, which is quite nice. It works much better than I expected. So we need to also import those ones. Again, the application. So now everything is loaded as expected. And we can now add get a history response. Nice. I like it. So now we have the functionality that we wanted. We have a proper loading. In this particular case, the loading is well, this is actually not very useful because we are just making a call to our local Rust backend, which sends some static data back, which is definitely a very, very fast way to load this history. But as I said, later we will fetch this history from the disk, having it stored somewhere on the disk, and or well, on the SSD, usually on your laptop, and then it might take a very short moment, and therefore we will at least need some kind of a proper handling, just for the case. You never know. Maybe we add some encryption there as well, or something that makes you very, very slow. Maybe a virus scanner, you know, there's all kind of things that can make your laptop even slow. But not now. Here we are. We have all of this. The message header. We have the message role. Um, this is loading part, which is also an interesting thing to show this as just few dots. Not sure if this is really necessary, but doesn't matter. We can just remove that one because we have a proper loading functionality already being provided. So we can get rid of this. We can get rid of that as well. And we can get rid of this as well. So, of course, we don't need the whole is loading functionality because the history is already a resource, and then doing this in a proper way. We know this already. Good. So we handle the message. No, this is wait a second. This is used by the key press, of course. That's not how we want to do this. The way we want to do this is this one here. So what we can do is we can take this wonderful thing out, and we will just this one here instead. So the handler send message is now nothing else than the function we had before. So we can just pass in here the handle send message. And it should work once again. So it's loaded. Let's add my name. Et voila. The AI response, the fake AI response is back. What's, by the way, quite interesting, and this will become an interesting problem to investigate at a later point, definitely. I get a GDK warning here on my laptop. I don't know where this exactly is coming from, but if you see here, decur the image size 64 by 64, not an integer multiple of scale 3. So I have used a scale of, I think, 300% or so on this for showing this on stream. And it is quite interesting to observe. I was confused by that particular one. If you carefully look here on the on my mouse pointer here, in the moment where I move over to my Cozy Coder window, it gets bigger. You see, it changes actually the size, and I think that's what this warning here means. That in some way something went completely wrong here. That's crazy, and I wonder where this is coming from. Maybe it's a Tauri bug. Maybe it is related to some update on my Arch Linux, which tends to have updates that can break things. I don't know. We will see. At least the error message tells us that it's coming somewhere from GDK cursor wayland.c, which I think this is something under the hood that detects the problem and not really the code causing it. But the interesting question is really where in the stack this weird issue comes from. Something to be investigated at a later point, maybe a bug report tutorial or something like that. We will see, but nothing I will do today for sure. It's just an interesting observation. This definitely shouldn't happen. But let's continue. So now we have this this whole input thing. We have this key handling. We have the message being forwarded here, but we no longer need it. I don't exactly remember why I forwarded it. So we have the actions, we have Solid, which provides us with some nice things. There was an on mount, which of course we don't need. We just create signals and resources. So everything looks quite nice right now. We handle the sending of the new message. We handle the key press event. we have the for each, the input area. Well, let's move this out. I think this is a very good starting point. So let's get this also committed. We have the app, we have the actions, and we have the, let's say, the very, very dummy-like implementation in Rust. That doesn't work like it should, but it at least does something. So let's commit this. Chat UI with dummy data. And of course, what we can say about this is that the UI is a basic that provides just the minimal chat functionality. The backend. Okay. Here we go. Let's push this directly to GitHub. So you see it now on the pull request as well. Let's continue working on this nice little code. So the next thing I would like to do is to introduce Tailwind. It's already history. Very good. So just as a little explanation on the code base here. So the this is actually something we can just watch in the file viewer here. So the nature of a Tauri application is basically that you have, well, you have a package JSON, you have a TS config, whatever. And then you have your source where your TypeScript code, your CSS is in. So in this particular case, we have this app CSS that is in our app TSX loaded here at the top. And we have all the other things being involved here. I actually don't know why we have this config node and this config, but okay, it references it. Interesting thing. Nevertheless, the Tauri application that we generated very much in the beginning uses Solid.js, and the Solid.js template actually uses Vite, I don't know how to pronounce it. Let's call it Vite. Uses Vite actually as a bundler under the hood, and there's also this Vite env. But let's ignore that one. The interesting one is actually the config here. So this is completely set up with the Solid plugin. So Solid has obviously a plugin that is already preset. So the template contained all of that. I didn't do anything about it. And this actually makes the whole thing kind of work. Nevertheless, what I would like to do instead is using Tailwind. And of course, Tailwind nowadays also comes with the plugin that you can easily install here. So we can just add Tailwind CSS and Tailwind. I wonder what is actually the correct Dana command to add this. Add dependency. Okay, great. I thought it is, and of course it is. There you go. This. Do something. And let's quickly check what happened. So we have now, so we have Solid.js here. We have now added Tauri. Apps plugin this main. And of course, we have the Dino log file, which contains also all the stuff. Let's quickly look into the package.json file. That's interesting, actually. We should have added it to the right one. So let's do that. I guess there is an RM. No. What's this remove, if you can call it RM? And then let's that we can't just do it like that. Yes, we can. Nice. Thanks, Dino, for the good CLI. So once again, we have edited here. And we want to CSS. Okay. Tailwind added. We also want the plugin being added, of course. So the way this works is after installing the dependencies, we need to add the plugin to the plugin. That, of course, it does not. That's the wrong one. This here. Okay, thanks, Zed, for offering actually the completion in the right way. And the second thing that we need to do is we need to add the Tailwind CSS plugin, which is like this. So once again, that made this quite simple. CSS. Just need to add this here. To CSS. I hope that's simple. See this as a quick fix. And now let's run Tauri dev. Let's hope that this should actually not break. Good. So it looks like that one actually worked. Very nice. So we should have a second look into this conflict. So why is it page from screens? I'll be to ignore watching so story. This all makes sense, but why isn't the maybe that's an issue? Let's see if it works. So let's hope for to have some additional fun with Claude Sonnet. Let's do some crazy nice things with Claude Sonnet. What do we have? So we have the file apps CSS, and we have the file CSS. This one. So this is actually the conversation I had before where I generate a lot of things. And the cool thing is it also generated some CSS. So let's quickly select the CSS here. See if this actually also gets applied. So it might not be exactly, oh, that's an interesting one. So this is actually the Claude Sonnet generated CSS for the AI chat. I wouldn't say that this is really nice and really like I would like it to be, but at least it is a starting point, let's call it like that. Um, It looks definitely much better than what we had before. So we can also say here the last message, Jan, and it prints our dummy AI response. So could be nicer, but it's better than nothing. Let's start now with something else. What I would like to do is let's create a new chat with when we add the app CSS and the app TSX. Can you the CSS from CSS to Tailwind CSS responsive? Very nice. Oh, no, not that. That's actually not what I was looking for. Okay. What is it actually? Loading and start. Any special effects or animations that are difficult to represent in Tailwind? Okay, good. I think we did too many things because this was the old Tauri code. Maybe we should have removed that one. Started. Try again. Give only the essential STSS, it can jump blah 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 blah. Good. I really like to know this one. I'm actually not that happy about this assistant panel. Because I would like to do something different here. Nevertheless, it's still better than things. So let's get back to the TypeScript code here. actually going wrong? Interesting. So the JSX in then let's tell Cloudabot the reality. Solid.js, which is used here, JS as thus the class name is it uses class in that the dot ts now just use it here in the and the system and still have this one as well. And let's see if this will work. That would be cool. And this is actually not that bad. It's like it translated it very well. We added this. Let's amend it to this one. And we have updated CSS. Styles to tables. That looks very good. So we now have a working application with some dummy data, so no serious backend yet, but at least we have something. We can actually enter something, we can disable it. There are a few things that are not perfect yet, but we can fix this later. So today is a short stream, so we are 1 hour and 20 minutes into the stream already, so we will stop here because we have the chat UI. Now let's quickly have a look at what we want to do. So from our current issue, what have we done? The user can enter send and send a message. Click on the return button. Well, that actually works. The assistant responds to the user message. That actually works as well. And the history is shown. That actually works as well. Awesome. So this means that we can think about merging this pull request. Ready for review? Let's quickly walk once again through the code here. So let's ignore the Dino log. We added Tailwind and Tailwind Read as dependency in the latest version. We added we added some dummy Rust code here to provide the dummy chat history. We added we cleaned up the CSS code to provide mainly Tailwind stuff, and we updated the app TSX file here to provide a proper handle message, proper handle key press. We have the Tailwind stuff being added here and have this working quite well. We moved this into this action file, updated the config, pretty good. So I think that's exactly what we wanted to have so far. There will definitely be more stuff to do. There are a few things that we didn't do yet. So one thing that we are still missing is we didn't introduce components in the right way to organize our code here, the UI code. What we don't have is that we can have multiple chats. But as you see, that's the next to do here. So multiple chat means that we will add a sidebar and a list of chats in the history, and we create a new chat. But that's not part of this one here. We just want the interface being done. So all to-dos are done here. Let's also provide some documentation. Dummy structure that from the backend. Message is shown in the list of these basic filing tailwind. The evidence that I don't like it very much, but okay, it's just probably a good description. We will hopefully improve this later. So let's update this one. One thing I wanted to do as well for proper documentation here is let's run the application once again. Do a little screenshot. The, This is the chart chat data. Chart of see. This is obviously nice for documentation purpose. And the rest is pretty straightforward. So once all the checks are done, we will merge the pull request. And of course, the issue here will automatically be resolved and we can pick the next one, which will definitely be not today, but happen maybe on the next stream, or maybe we will do that in between. We'll see. I hope that I will make it for another stream next week. Not 100% sure when this happens. I think I will in the future do these streams more spontaneously, like today, where this was actually not planned long term and happened just because I wanted. So this is probably how this will work in the next weeks as well. And I wish you all a nice rest of your day and the upcoming weekend. So enjoy your weekend, everybody. And